Hello, everybody, and welcome to the rotting pot of sorriness I like to call a podcast. Today, I have a special guest. He can easily be mistaken as Bolo Young's mini-me. When he's not dancing, you can catch him doing what all the other South Sac Asians do, fishing. Give a warm welcome to my friend, Third Eye Chai, a.k.a. Swellz One.
This is bullshit.
What's up, dude? How you doing?
Shit, I'm doing good, man.
Yeah.
Just, living life, enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like, right now it seems like a kind of weird time because there's just, like, so much political shit going on, and it's kind of driving everybody crazy, I think. For me, I'm just, like, I don't really care about it all. I just want it all over with. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy, all this COVID and, like, politicians trying to come up with some type of plan to, like, fix it or whatever, and you just don't know what's going to happen, and honestly, all we can do is just wait and find out and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this all blows over pretty soon, because it like, what bothers me a lot is that the scene, the dance scene is just really taking a hit, because like, you can't, it's a social thing, right? You can't do it without being with people. So it's like, all right, I guess dancing doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, you could practice by yourself and stuff, but that's not really dancing, in my opinion. It's just kind of practicing. Right. So.
Because like if you see a lot of the bigger events that usually happens on a big stage and like in a nice venue and all the theatrical setting that they have set up, it takes away that vibe, that rawness, and that feeling of community, right? Because whenever we used to go to events back in the days, where how I met you and Vince, your twin. I saw you guys at an event at Washington Center. I was like, who's these guys? They're like super early to the event, and they're like chilling, like kind of like, oh, we're just skateboarders learning how to break.
I think, but I was only breaking for probably like a couple months at that time. Like, I was a skater. I was a skater, and I just started breaking at that time. So I think, we were at that event, and we were like, what the fuck is all this shit?
Right. And so when we walk into the building, we're like, oh yeah, we're the Bboys from Sacramento, like kind of having that persona, like we're here for battling.
Back when you had a freaking like blonde bowl cut.
I mean, Asian bowl cuts were the thing back in the days. It was cheap.
It was funny because a lot of people had them Asian bowl cuts. Even people that weren't Asian.
For real. And the craziest thing is, like, there's so many other different race nowadays in the new generation of youngsters that actually find bowl cuts to be like appealing. I'm like, dude,
would you call that cultural appropriation though?
For some part, I mean, if you're like part Asian or whatever, but I think it's just more like, oh, it's a fad. Like, oh, this was the thing back in the days. But kid you not, like back then it was like, bro, look at this dude's bowl cut. Like, mom just put a bowl in there and just start trimming it with scissors.
Like, I ain't claiming bowl cuts for the good. Asians.
Now I'm bald. I mean, so I got a ball cut. It's all good. I ain't got to worry about that anymore.
Man. Dude, those were the days. That was like early 2000s, I think.
Yeah, like 2000. So I was a freshman, 2001.
Yeah, that's probably.
Yeah, 2001. I got into breaking, and then like a couple years after that, that's when I saw you guys. I think I was like a junior or something, or a senior. I'm not sure.
I think I probably met you. No, I think I met you when I was a freshman.
A freshman? Was
it? Freshman or senior, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, freshman or
junior.
What is the next one?
Probably sophomore.
Sophomore,
yeah. Probably a sophomore or something.
But
yeah.
Yeah, well, so how exactly did you get into dancing?
So I grew up in Oak Park, which is like the hood of Sacramento, right? South Sacramento, Oak Park, Mozzie. Shout outs to Mozzie, man. Yeah. Hey.
now Oak Park is getting all gentrified and shit. I was driving through there. I was like, this isn't the Oak Park I remember. Like, you have to roll your windows up,
bro,
in that Oak Park. But because I haven't lived in Sac for a while. Like, I just recently moved back, and I've been out for probably 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah.
And so coming back, no, maybe 6 or 7 years. But anyways, coming back, I'm like, oh, this place is changing, dude.
It's developing like crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of hipsters and actually young families that come from the Bay Area, you know, because that's all they can afford. You know, sucks to be, you know, living out there in the Bay Area where homes are like over $1 million plus for like a 2-bedroom, 1 bath.
Yeah, it's stupid expensive.
But yeah, Sacramento has gentrified a lot, which is good. Once Kevin Hart. Or not Kevin Hart, wrong person. Kevin Johnson, I'm sorry. Kevin Johnson. The mayor? Yeah, Kevin Johnson kind of went back and fixed it up a little bit, but it wasn't until like people actually that had wealth started to move in, you know, and then they started to change the neighborhood. And now it's a lot more peaceful. I mean, you still get gunshots here and there. Like I have a Ring app, right? And
you see people driving by and
bro, they're always
being suspect and shit.
Yeah, they like there's a community for Ring, right? I don't know if you have one. So, but they would share stuff like texts and stuff on the Ring, and then you could see it pop up on your Ring app and like, did you guys hear shooting in Oak Park? I'm like, what? And I'm like, I'm glad I'm out of that neighborhood. You know what I mean? But yeah. So like, grew up in Oak Park. My brother was running around with a bunch of his friends that he went to high school with. He went to Sac High, and he was all into, you know, hip hop during the early 90s. It was like the biggest thing, like graffitiing and everything. I just remember him having a backpack that was red, and it had graffiti all over it. Like there was graffiti like tagged all over it, and it was crazy because it was done by numerous amount of people. Oh yeah, it wasn't it wasn't just him. So I was like, what the heck is this, you know? So I just saw this a lot of gang violence and a lot of crime and a lot of just stuff you don't want to grow up with when you're a kid. But when you saw something like that, like art, it was like, oh, there's actually something different that was positive. You know, it didn't have to involve like committing a crime or whatnot. But when I saw that, and then my brother was like running around with a bunch of B-boys, or they call them breakers back in the days. Yeah,
pop lockers.
Yeah, pop lockers. Yeah, pop lock and drop it.
Pop lock and drop it. That was before that song though.
Yeah, but yeah, they were breakers, and then breakers would be just straight power movers. Like they just do flares, windmills. Whoever can do like the most like flares, or whoever can do the best
Flare
combo.
90 flare.
Exactly. Yeah. Flare 90 flare, and air flares weren't even around yet, like until like 94, 95. So, you know, flare to windmill to crickets to crab to UFOs to Boston crab, and then flare again back into 90. Or
that's a hard move.
That's
a really hard combo.
Boston crab to flare to 90.
Yeah, that's a hard combo.
That's crazy. I can't even do a split, so imagine.
Boston crab.
Yeah,
that's a hard move.
One person I know that can hit it really clean is actually two people.
There was a couple that I remember from back in the day. But yeah.
Well, in Sacramento is Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus can do him,
yeah, Marcus can go.
Flex.
Yep, he can go Boston crab into flare, and then
yeah, he had him good.
Yeah, and then I think Air Steps. What's his name? What's his name?
Not
Air
dummy.
Flare. His brother, Era. Yeah.
Ricky?
So Era could do those.
I don't remember
really
him
clean.
doing that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he could do it though. He's flexible.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's got crazy power.
Yeah, I've seen him do it like back in high school when he used to come out to McClatchy because he went to Burbank, and I grew up going to school with the kids, the Hmong kids at McClatchy.
Oh yeah.
So those guys, they used to bring those guys over, and we used to practice a lot. But
Errol Dynamic, he had that.
Errol, yeah, that's right.
Boston crab to a lot of crab, but yeah. Flare 90 out.
Yeah, he's got some clean Boston crabs too.
Yeah. There was like, I remember, I think Poison did it too. I remember he didn't Poison have Boston?
Poison?
Yeah.
Poison, a Bboy Poison. I'm not quite sure, but
from what crew was he? Renegade? He was in Renegades for a minute.
Oh yeah. I think I remember watching old footage.
I feel like I've seen him do it, but
yeah,
whatever. I mean, that was a hard combo, and
right.
If you could hit it, you were legit. that was your B-boy card.
Right. Yeah. So like that got me into breaking. Like my brother would go to practices with these breakers, you know, and I was into video games. I was like, dude, Super Nintendo, I'm on it. Like from sunrise to sundown, you know. I would.
What were you playing?
Super Mario.
Okay.
What's that? That duck shooting game?
Oh, Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt. Yes, that was a big one, bro.
That game is interesting. Actually.
Yeah, and then they came out with this bazooka looking like thing with Super Nintendo, and you were to shoot like machines. I don't remember what game that is, but it came with the console when you bought it. So I bought that whole system, and then that game came with it, and that's all I would play is that game, Duck Hunt on Nintendo, and then Super Mario on Super Nintendo, and then Mario, yeah.
Man, I didn't have any video games until the Nintendo 64 came out, and that was when I got a Sega Genesis.
Dang, Sega. Yeah,
so then that's when I got a Sega Genesis. Yeah, I mean, because we didn't have shit. Yeah, I got a Sega after the Nintendo. Like it was like everybody at school had the Nintendo 64, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to get that. And then we get the Sega Genesis because now it's on sale.
So it's super older.
Yeah, no.
That's funny.
I wasn't really playing games till much later, but
yeah, I think one thing about playing games when you're young is that you try to accomplish a goal, right? Beating the game.
Yeah.
So in art, I saw it as like, okay, how can I beat this game? You know? And then I didn't realize this until I got a little older with how it actually applies to like life. For instance, like hitting a move or accomplishing some type of like goal outside of breakdancing or your art form. So from what I've learned from playing games was ADD and hand-eye coordination, of course, and also trying to beat that game. So if I'm trying to learn a move or whatever, I'm gonna keep doing it until I finally get it, or I'll just flip that move and turn it into something where I can actually hit instead of trying to do that move and not accomplish it. So
I know games back then were like relentlessly hard.
Yeah.
And so it was like you had to have a certain perseverance to like get through like a certain level, and I imagine that carries over to a lot of stuff. Definitely art, where you have a goal you want to accomplish, and it's like you have this relentless perseverance to accomplish that goal. And so I mean, I don't know if it's the video games that create that,
right,
or whatever. I would think it's probably more of a quality of the person. But, but yeah, it certainly shows in that kind of world, the video game world. So.
For sure. Games is kind of excessive nowadays. I think a lot of people. It's more of like entertainment
stuff because it's not relentlessly hard anymore. It's like if you just have the time, it's like a movie more. I think. Well, at least most of the games nowadays.
It's just more of like a stimulation. Also, I think like if you're stimulating your brain, like it occupies you, right? Yeah. So then you're like, oh, next level, or ooh, that guy's trying to kill me. I gotta go kill him. He's got 20 kills. I got 5. I gotta try to catch up, get my ratings up. So I can get more coins or whatever. I'm like, I don't play those games, but I just hear about people talking about them. Like, dang, that's all you do?
That's a lot. I had to cut a lot of video games out of my life. It's like, it's fun, but it distracts you a lot, I think, from accomplishing goals. I mean, ultimately, you like aren't really doing anything in the game. I mean, not to knock people that like, make a career out of doing video games or nothing.
Yeah,
like I know
for
Shine out there is doing it. Shout out to him and Joe the Bully. Shout out to the
yeah, for sure.
But like, for me, it's like it's easy to get addicted to that kind of stuff, and if it's not like accomplishing something that you want to accomplish in your life, I find that it's just fat in your life, and you got to just cut it out. In my opinion. So not that I don't indulge every once in a while, but I'm the type of person where it's like. I will get like relentlessly obsessed with like doing something in it. So it's like
you're like, I gotta do all of it.
I need to because that could be a skill or a detriment in my opinion. Right. Like because if you're relentlessly obsessed with getting good at like a move, like a breaking move, that could be really good for you, or like kicking off a business, or in this case like starting a podcast or whatever. Right. That's a good skill to have. But if it's like, if you're relentlessly obsessed with doing something that distracts you from the stuff you actually want to do, it's now just a deterrent from you know, accomplishing your goals.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, from not playing games, for me in my situation of where I've come to realize is that I get a lot more done when there's not a lot of distraction. And honestly, like, gaming is taking off. No disrespect to like hardcore gamers who are actually, you know, turning it into their 9-to-5 or even, you know, making a lot of money off of it. So no disrespect to that. I think it's great if that's what you find a passion doing. And just like art, you know, breaking, because we, you know, b-boys, we used to spend a lot of money, you know, and that goes for art in general. I think a lot of times people they invest in something, right? So with breaking, we drove ourselves. Like, I remember your dad used to drive us all the way up to Oregon. We used to go to Ashes to Ashes.
Oh yeah,
and and that's a lot of time commitment for your dad. And he was like hella cool about it. He's like, yeah, you know, I'm down to go to Oregon. Like, trucking along like two cars or a big old van.
Those were the days,
full of kids
going all the way over. Yeah, I mean, how old were we? I mean, yeah, we were probably
like
17.
Yeah, like super young, you know. But it was thrilling because we were like, yeah, we're with all our friends. The camaraderie was there. We loved this art, and we talked a lot of crap about other b-boys, and then talked about a lot of other moves, and used to hate on each other, like, jokingly. But the memories that we carry, you know, to this day is like, dang, that's pretty dope. Like,
is that
that's
one
awesome.
of your favorite parts of breaking, like the camaraderie and the like family that you kind of build around it?
Yeah, I would say so. I wish it was more present. Like, I wish that we would like be have more of that in even through our own personal life. But I know that everyone has their own like personal things that they have to take care of, like, you know, building a family or an occupation where it takes time away from having that camaraderie. But I yeah, it's one of those moments where it's like, wow, those were really good memories, you know. And you can look back, and every time you think about something like that, you either laugh or you like, damn, I wish I'd never done that.
Yeah,
you know,
that's the interesting thing about memories is you're like, oh yeah,
yeah.
The hindsight is 20/20, and you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. Or in many cases, like, yeah, that was like one of the dopest things that ever happened.
Right.
So what was actually one of like the dopest experiences you think you've had, like, I guess, in the kind of breaking dance world?
Oh man, there's so many times were dope. I think when I first started to like take breaking seriously, it was me, my boy Leslie, and Abe, and the whole Flex Flav basically. We went to Bboy Summit, and that's when like breaking actually it really hit me, like, culturally. Okay.
And it wasn't just some losers rolling around on the floor. It was like a legit like culture. Yeah.
So it was almost like a culture shock, basically. Like, we went to this event, Bboy Summit. Okay. It was in like 2000. It was 2001.
Was that the one in
2002?
No,
2001.
That was in LA, right?
That was in LA. Yeah. The one that Asia One used to throw with, I forget his name, but anyways, yeah. So we went to that event, and I just remember like all these dope b-boys from all over the world, like Japanese b-boys, Korean b-boys weren't like around yet because they couldn't get to the States yet at that time. And then it was Japanese b-boys. You had b-boys from New York. You had b-boys from Florida. You had Skill Methods there. You had Kamel was there. You had I think Alien S was even there. So you had all these legendary like b-boys that people talk about, and then you would only see them on footages.
some like gritty ass footage that
Yeah.
sucks. Like you can't even see.
It's like
your
hella
face.
glitchy and on a VHS tape that your friend always steals.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
You're like,
Rodney.
Yeah.
What's up, Rodney?
What up,
Stealing all the
Rodney?
footage.
You stealing all my footage, man. Anyways, but yeah, we went to that event, man. It was just a crazy eye opener because you see Kamel just throwing down and he was smoking B-boys like left and right. He battled Crumbs. He battled the whole style elements by himself. Yeah.
Which one? This was what year?
I believe it was 2001 or 2002.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was before I met you guys.
Yeah.
But I just remember going there and man, it was crazy because you saw like real locking, and in Sacramento
there wasn't lockers.
There was no locking.
No lockers.
We were like, what is locking? You know, we would hear about it. We were like, what the hell are they doing? Like wiggling their arms. It looked kind of goofy, you know, like looks super funny.
Or you know what? Even poppers, like popping was around in Sac, but like I don't think I made the connection that it was even involved with hip hop because it was always like I seen like some gangsters over there like doing something. I'm like, what the heck is that? And then it didn't like hit me that's like part of hip hop till I went to like a big event and I was like, oh, them gangsters are like they're a part of what I do too.
Exactly, because like that was like their uncles and their brothers like their cousins used to, you know, drink 40 ounces, hang out with their cousins and stuff, and then they would just turn on a, you know, like a lowrider beat, and they'll just start popping. I'm like, all right, and then it just kind of like, you know, it gets passed on.
The OG session, pass around the old English and
right, exactly.
And then hit the
40
poppins,
ounce.
Then everyone starts tutting.
Yeah, pretty much. So when I saw that, man, and it opened my eyes. I just saw breaking in a whole different way. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like the level that the B-boys were actually at, it was like, how can I ever get to that point, you know? And that's where video game comes in, right? Because I want to beat that game. So how can I beat that game, or how can I get to that level of where all these really dope legendary B-boys are at? And that's when I started to take breaking like really serious, you know? And then ever since then, it's just kind of like, it was like a journey. It's just... It's kind of like you're floating on a spacecraft out in open space. I'm like Starman right now, you know, and just chilling in space, and you're just cruising. So
what was the thing? I guess that you realized you needed to do to win the game.
Train, like
put in the hours.
Yeah, like ridiculous amount of training. I've always been like very athletic, you know. I played football in high school. I made the cut, but I didn't want to join the team because the team sucked, and I didn't want to get injured. You know,
that was at McClatchy.
That was at McClatchy. I was a senior. I was playing running back, but so I used to do that, and I would go right after practice, like from football practice to breaking.
Oh shit!
And that was crazy. And then
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, so I've always been athletic. You know, I played soccer too when I was in middle school. Played midfield, so I would start the ball. So that's probably why my speed is like always really fast. It's slowed down a lot more now that I'm a little older, but that was my thing, was speed, and because I had fast footwork and just on beat. Try to be on beat and create along the way. Yeah. So
do you think like so I mean, I guess like your athleticism really fed into like your style. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so, because my coaches, right, he or them would guide me in that right direction of, okay, you need to do this in order to get to this level, right? So lay out a platform for me and say, all right, follow it, and basically get to a level where they want you to be, or push you to your max capacity. So I would always push myself to a point where I feel like it's never enough. So I've always been really hard on myself.
Yeah. That kind of makes sense, because it's like, in those sports, it's like you explosiveness and stuff, and that's kind of like your style is like explosive, fast, quick movements, musicality. So I could see how that kind of like maybe helped you develop like the style you have. So I guess talking about musicality, I know that that's definitely like your thing. What do you think? I guess could you break down the importance of musicality in your dance?
So the way I move is I have moves that I've trained on, that I perfected, and those are my moves, right? So, and I throw that into my my rounds. Oh, you want me to stop? Oh, okay. Oh, so I throw that into my round. As I'm throwing my rounds, I just put those moves in between them and chop them up. And so it's almost like freestyling, but it's not. Rhythmically, is that even
rhythmically?
Rhythmically.
I don't know.
That
I don't know English.
anyways, one of those words. For me, I would dance on beat to the music, right? I would follow it, and the same 8 count plays in my head every time I dance. So it's kind of like second nature to me. Second nature. Shout outs to win. So it's second nature to where I don't even need to count anymore. Like 1, 2, 3. Like it's all in my head now, you know? Because once I hear that 1 to 8 count of that beat, it's replaying in my mind. And so while I'm listening to that music, I'm dancing on beat, and in between that, while I'm freestyling, okay, with my footwork, my flow, I'll throw in my moves. And a lot of my moves, it can be spontaneous or it's already premeditated. Like if I know that music is coming, like if that beat, that last 8 count is coming, I'll prepare my move to where it goes bam, bam, bam. You know? So I'll freestyle into that move to where I can hit that beat to make it more noticeable.
So like I know it, like with like breaking music. Well, yeah, a lot of hip hop music. It's like 4 to the floor type of beats.
Right.
Do you ever break to music that's not that kind of style of beat? Because I find that it's interesting to do that because like you're so used to this one,
right?
I guess I don't know, pattern of music, because that's almost all the stuff that we break to. But like listening to something else and just trying to pick it apart, it makes me have to be more active about like the dancing, you know, because it's kind of easy to just get into like a hypnotic state almost with the music, because like especially a song you've heard a million times, you're just like, dude, I know exactly what's gonna happen in the song. So it's easy to kind of get into that mindset, but then playing like a brand new song that has a beat pattern that you're just completely not used to, like trap music, for instance, like sometimes some of it'll have like a 4 to the floor type of feeling, but a lot of it is like it's like a double time music in a way, and so like it sounds slow but it's also fast at the same time, and so you really have to like pay attention a lot more. And they have kind of like triplet patterns sometimes that just kind of get thrown in there every once in a while, and they just kind of don't make sense sometimes. And I feel like it's interesting to dance to that because you're just more active about trying to figure out what you need to hit. And I don't know, it also makes me listen to different instruments too, because I don't quite understand the song yet, and so I'm like picking out all the different things in the song. So I don't know, do you ever do that?
I mean, if it's an event like an actual competition,
they won't play that, but
it's like Lean Rock, he plays a little bit of trap too.
Once in a while.
Once in a while he'll play a little bit of trap mixed with some breaks. He won't play it in a battle though. He'll play it in like a cypher, or like he'll play it for like when they do all styles battles and stuff. Sometimes I like the all styles cyphers like more because they play some
just off the wall stuff sometimes, and I'm like, I this is like dope. Like, it's a groove. It's a different groove than I'm used to.
Right. Right. And that's the thing, is that like B-boys, when they enter like an all styles battle, we listen to the same exact like beat. It almost becomes like monotone, and then when we enter an all styles battle, they play everything.
Yeah, and if you just break like you normally break, you look monotone compared to them. Like if you, like I like watching like Lay Twins,
right?
Because those guys are just, you could play any song and they just can they blend into it,
right?
And you have like a b-boy that comes in to do that can't really blend into the music. It's like really obvious, like when you see that big difference between them, and it's not like one of them is like a much better dancer. It's just they have melded with this style of music like a lot easier, and I think it's because it's a skill that all styles dancers in particular like get really good at. Because all types of music get thrown in their
right
wake. But
with music suggestions or choices, like, or even dancing to it, I do house dance once in a while. Like when I went out to Minnesota, when I lived there for 5 years, I did a lot of house, and I started to understand how that upbeat tempo is when you start doing house, like that bounce, that jack. So that right there is what I picked up, and I actually got those movements, and I actually blended that style into breaking my top rocks. So now my top rock has a little bit of bounce to it, and like if you look at my top rock footwork, it almost has that house step. So my dance has evolved, not from just the bounce, boom boom cap, boom boom cap, how we were taught, so it definitely changed, and I think that listening to other music definitely makes a big difference. But it all depends. Like if I'm gonna play some like jazz is gonna be a little bit different. It's so you have smooth jazz and you have like old school jazz. So that's more chill. You can do more movements to it, but the only thing is like breaking is about energy, right? So we need a faster BPM in order to get our blood flowing, and I think that's what helps with listening to more high tempo music, so that way we can use that music and feed off of it and move the way we do. But
so I guess going along with that, music obviously like is important to like the dancing. How does it factor into like your creation process, like when you're making moves or some kind of concept for a new move?
So going back to like freestyling, like with the musicality and all of that, I just let the music do its thing, honestly. My body is a rhythm, right? Because if I'm actually, it's more of an instrument, okay? Because I'm an object. So if my body is an instrument, what difference does it make if I was to step on the snare or hit a freeze on the drop or anything like that? So how I create is that I just let the music do its thing, ride its course until when that 8 is coming, right? Or the 1, whichever one it is. You prepare for the 8, and then the drop comes on the 1, right? So try to find a way, like in that given moment where that beat's about to drop, and just do something, right? You can do a freeze. Like practicing to hit beat on a freeze is actually very beneficial.
Yeah. Do you remember Metal, right, from Rep Styles? Yeah. He has a really interesting way of doing it, because he basically does that. I mean, like he'll go with like an 8 count pattern, and he'll do his footwork, and then he'll just at any moment when he knows something's gonna happen in the song, he'll do like one of I think 5 things. It's think he said it was a jump. It was a jump, a kick, I think a spin, a roll, or like a freeze, or a stop, some kind of stop. And it was like, so it was just he would run these drills, and I think my brother actually has a video with him on his channel about this. But it's really cool because he makes these really cool like footwork patterns just with doing those really simple things, and it's just like you can kind of teach really anybody those 5 moves.
Right.
Like say you were doing a beginner breaking class and you say like, here's 5 moves you got to do.
Right.
You can do whatever you want between them.
Right.
But as soon as I say jump, you jump. As soon as I say freeze, you freeze, you know, and it's, you kind of just play a game. And when I saw that, and I think that he even had a video showing like little kids doing it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then you see Metal do it too. And it's like a really high level of it. And it's like super legit looking. And so I was like, man, this is like, it made me realize that sometimes we make breaking a lot more complicated than it needs to be, because he made this really dope style out of just that. And obviously Metal can do a whole lot more than just those moves, but it's like, you know.
Yeah. I think that, you know, that's very dumbed down in a sense where it's simple. Yeah. And it actually works.
Yeah. But it makes you, I think what's dope about it is it makes you think in a different way, because before that you're thinking about all this huge amount of moves you have to like how to do it, but it's like, no, forget all that crap. All you can do, this is the only moves you have here. Right. So now what are you doing? You're just focusing on music. Right. Now what are you going to do to the music? You have 5 moves you can do to this beat. So go for it. And so I think that it really helps like change, switch something in your brain to like think more towards music and less towards moves.
Yeah, and honestly, like with creating moves, it can be very simple. You know, it doesn't even have to be like flying in the air and then, you know, going into a chair to where you're about to snap your arm. You know what I mean? Like the risk is very high when you're doing stuff like that. But honestly, if you look at some b-boys, let's take for example Rocksprite. Okay, Rocksprite does not do big caliber moves. No. He does very intricate type of moves.
He'll do like basic kind of like stack moves, and just link them all together in a really dope way. And I mean, he's like a king of fundamentals in my opinion.
Yeah, he's like the basic b-boy that is like explosive. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? And the craziest part is that he's so clean. So trying to find a b-boy that can do basic moves, last forever, run rounds around you, and still be very explosive, you know, in his own art form, in his own movement. I think that we do tend to think like, okay, if I don't hit this air flirt, or if I don't do like a crazy move to where it's it looks really sharp on stage or a big open space, then it's not good enough, you know? But that's actually not the case. It's how you do it, you know? Not versus what you do, but it's how you do it. Yeah. Ken Swift actually has this thing where he it's like a judging system that he has for himself. Where he'll draw a circle, a spiral, and he'll just never take the pen off of the paper, and he'll keep drawing it. And yeah, exactly. So he'll keep moving. When that person goes, if he sees something that he likes, he'll make a mark, and he'll keep drawing it, and then he'll make a mark. And like the bigger the move looks to him, the bigger the little indentation that he makes.
So it's kind of like one of those heart monitor things.
Exactly.
Like, boom. Yep. Yeah, you know what? Like actually, EKG. That man,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Because I've been actually thinking a lot about how to judge battles, because I like am not convinced that the way we judge them now is 100% correct. Right. Because you know, like take Dizzy's system for instance, like it has all this like criteria that's involved with it. Like I think that's cool and all, but in my opinion, like the dopest part about breaking is that you can do whatever you want. And so when you specifically say this is the criteria that makes a good round, it kind of like fundamentally like makes me go, I don't know if that's the right way to do it. Not that I think his system is bad. I just think that there's like holes in it, and I think this is one of them, because it's like, from what I'm seeing, like with what you're explaining with Ken Swift's thing, is it's like he doesn't really care.
Right.
Like what you're doing, it's kind of like, did you impress me? Yeah, right there you did.
Exactly. Yep.
This is like, okay, it's whatever. Oh, but this is really dope. And so it's like, how memorable was that, what you did? You know?
Exactly.
And I think judging in that kind of way, I think it makes a little bit more sense to me, because not to say that Ken Swift is not judging based on like a whole list of criteria in his head, and it probably includes a lot of the stuff that Dizzy has in his system. Right. But it's kind of like that gets thrown out the window if you don't even, if you know, at the end of the day, you don't even like the round. You know what I mean? So I like that system that he does that, because when I judge battles, I actually kind of do something similar, not with this line, but I actually tally things in my head, like how many things did this guy do or girl do in their round that amazed me, or like made me feel a certain way, a certain positive way towards their round. So I'll tally that, and you know, I'll even give it a score or whatever. And so when you have a higher score, I'll tend to vote that way. So even if it's like I get round for round tie. It's like if you in general were more, your rounds just resonated with me more. I'll vote that way, even if round for round it was a tie. I think having a system where it's based off of your preference, right? As you as a judge, is like you get to choose who you think won that battle. So if you're going based off of like a system is kind of just limited in a sense, like with the Dizzy's hour system. It's you got to follow a criteria, you know. I mean, that's great, but it's almost like that category actually has a lot of things in between it too, you know, and they all connect to each other too.
So,
and the other thing I don't like about it is that he has 5 different judges, and each judge only judges on one thing. But I'm like, so like, say you have what is it, like foundation judge, you have dynamics judge, musicality judge, or whatever,
and
like
creativity.
So you have one guy just judging on all those things. And in my opinion, I feel like all 5 of them should really be giving their opinion on all 5 of those things. So I would like to see that system be more like, okay, each judge is giving a score on that specific category, and then you're tallying it up, because it kind of doesn't make any sense to me that you get one person to just be the I guess the authoritarian ruler of this one category, especially when that category has so many branching pieces of it, and that judge, you know, not to knock any of them, but only has a small grasp of it, you know, because breaking is just so wide there, it's impossible to be in complete grasp of everything. Not that I don't think that they could do a good job of being the authoritarian rule over that, but I think in general a majority rule over that is better, because you'll get 5 different perspectives, or maybe 7, or however many judges they need to actually figure out what the correct score is. That makes the most sense. And
like the thing is like sometimes, like some b-boys, I know this for a fact, because there are certain b-boys that are judging dynamic or like footwork, and they'll look at their footwork and like, ooh, that's tight, you know, and they'll count that probably as a dynamic. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that it can definitely go different ways.
Well,
you know?
Here's the thing: foundation is one of the categories. Dynamics is one of the categories.
Creativity.
What is the fundamentals of foundation? Dynamics. It's part,
exactly.
like, you know, when you say you got foundation, it's like, foundation encompasses a lot of stuff, and one of those things is dynamics. So if you're judging on foundation and you're not including a judgment a little bit on dynamics, I don't think you're actually judging on foundation.
Right, because like power is a foundation too, you know, and
Well,
that's a dynamic.
Like one of the things that a lot of the pioneers of breaking say is the contrast between movement and complete stopping, which essentially is what dynamics is. And so to have good fundamentals is to be switching between those in a good way. Right. So I mean, by definition, foundation includes dynamics. So it just, I think when you really start putting pen to paper with all these topics, they kind of break down, in my opinion. These categories, they break down.
Yeah, there has to be a little bit more than just those categories, like especially now that it's in the Olympics, and like there's so many b-boys and b-girls nowadays too. So, and they're all hella dope. Like
the
and there's so many styles, crazy, you know.
Yeah,
so
like what I would really hate to see with breaking is everything just converge to one style that always wins competitions. And I think I'm starting to see it a little bit. Right. And, you know, I think that the scene is open-minded enough to like not be completely converging right at this moment. But what I would hate to see is like in 10 or 20 years when, you know, we're deep into the Olympics style breaking and you see like just a whole crap ton of the same b-boy just at doing like the hardest move the best. I mean, at that point it turns into gymnastics, I think. Yeah, you know?
In a sense, yeah. And I think that breaking actually needs a category within itself. So let's say we have the all around breaking competition, right? Like you can do anything, footwork, top rock, all of it, right? It has to be in unison. Now they need to break it into branches, kind of like gymnastics, where they got the bars, the high bars, the pommel horse, and all that, right? So breaking needs, okay, if you're gonna categorize each one, then let's make it a footwork battle. Let's make it a power battle. Let's make it into a blow up battle, and then you have the main one, which is the everything, you know. If they break it into those segments, I think that breaking will be a little bit better. Even though footwork may be boring sometimes, it is very difficult, and there are some moves that they do in footwork that is like, damn, that's hella crazy, that's so difficult. Like how did you even think about that, you know? So it can definitely get like a woo or an ah to an audience. And then I think it should be broken down like that, because now you got the judges where they're just focusing on footwork, and you can have 3 judges where they're like, I don't need to worry about picking a dynamic style. I don't need to worry about picking a creative style. I mean, it's all in one foundation, which is footwork. You know, top rock is a foundation also. So if you break those segments down and then judge them by just that and see who is the best at that, I think breaking will eventually take off in a different way. Yeah. No. You know, and then have the main actual battle where you can do everything. So,
yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of reluctant to want to do to categorize things, because it makes sense with the way that you see the scene now, but I just go back to like the early 2000s and some of the b-boys I really thought were dope. Right. And I would go like, how would they stack up in this kind of competitive world? And I don't think they would have a chance at all, but I'm still like, I thought they were dope, you know? Like for instance, like Exuberant, like how would he ever win a jam, like a jam in this world? Not to hate on him or anything, but I'm just saying like, his style was so like different
originality.
You know, he had some off the wall freezes. Like he did only a little bit of footwork, but if you are saying I got to judge on all these categories, like what top rock basically 0 or 1, you know, I mean, you do footwork maybe 1, and then you do some crazy freezes. Like his style was like almost 100% crazy freezes, you know, or actually, do you remember Scarecrow from Lost Tribe? Like almost 100% freezes.
Oh man, I think if I saw footage, yeah,
He's like a tall dude, but he used to just hold air babies.
Oh, okay.
And then he would, like, do some weird twist and then thread it and then stack it and do something. And it was just like,
I think I remember Scarecrow. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was a whole bunch of b-boys that were like that in those days, and I thought those guys were dope. Like, they were really pushing what breaking can be. But I look at, if those guys were actually battling nowadays, like, would they even have a chance? They probably wouldn't even get past a qualifier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I think sucks.
Yeah.
Because I like seeing where the new directions breaking can go, and if you don't give those things a chance, I think you start converging to a one style fits all kind of thing.
So like with breaking now, it's more of a competition. That's what we have come to realize, is that competition is a big player in breaking, because one, it provides some type of avenue for b-boys to make some type of living off of it, if that's what they want to do. But also it's that competitiveness, getting better each time, to train for an event or pushing yourself each time, because it is pretty competitive, and then like with the dance, it's like it's totally changed. It's evolved into this platform that we have nowadays, where it's more commercialized now, and we're getting a lot more funding from corporations, and so there's just a lot more money involved, and a lot of people are getting sponsored too, so they have to represent this brand, so that becomes more of a job within itself. But back in the days, for like Exuberant and all these other guys that had really off the wall type of moves or movement, it was like originality, because you never wanted to be like someone else, back in the days, right? Because it would be frowned upon. Like, hey, you biting my move, and you have a lot of animosity towards each other. You get beat up, or like you get smoked in a circle or whatever, and that's embarrassing. But so that was a really big thing, and also back then it was about blow-ups. Like no one cared about footwork. I mean, very few. But the West Coast was more like power moves, and the East Coast was like footwork into like traditional power moves. So they laid the foundation, right, for breaking, but we started to get more different with it. Like we kept evolving with the style and turning it into our own, I don't know if it was the weed or whatever it was.
Everybody did drugs and breaking turned into something
exactly
crazy.
And they just turned it into something like where, okay, I'm moving my own way because I don't want to move like that guy, and also footwork may be boring and I don't want to do footwork, so then people just kind of created their own style. But it could have been because we didn't have the foundational teachers too. Like, it could have been because we don't know about footwork, because in Sac, if back then, if you knew about someone who did really good footwork, that was very rare.
I think also back in the day, 6-step was somebody's move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
CC is
CC.
What Crazy Commandos. Like, that was a crew move. You know what I mean? Like, so you're doing that. You're a freaking biter. So I think it's kind of like funny. That. So like you got styles out in like the East Coast or whatever. They're doing their own thing, trying to like be a part, and then the West Coast sees it and they're like, well, we can't do what they're doing, obviously, so we're gonna do something else. Take a little piece of that, but do something off the wall,
completely different.
And somewhere along the line, someone was like, that's a fundamental move, and that over there is a fundamental move, and I think that one is too, and maybe that one, I don't know about that shit, but this one can stay. And then some motherfucker wrote a book, the freaking breakdance book, and was like, let's go.
Pretty much. And then so like we don't have like we're starting to see more people write books. Like Alien S has a book out,
The Art of Battles or something.
And actually we'll talk about battling next, because I think like we didn't have the actual teachers there to like have it in like literate format for us to actually read it, or like we had documentation where people would get interviewed and stuff like that, or you would have to meet them in person and then get taught like that. So it was almost like you were like a Jesus, and you're just going around preaching, to the choir, type of thing. And so it was different. but it was also tight because it was like a voyage.
There's a lot of OGs out there that think they're like the messiah of
Oh my God. Yeah, and they think like, oh yeah, I created the CC. I'm like, dude, come on, man. You got that from Crazy
There's
Commanders.
literally no messiah of breakdance, and if you think that's you, then you're the problem.
Yeah, pretty much. Because like honestly, we got ideas off of each other, and that's how moves got better and better and better. And they flipped it or tweaked it just a little bit where it looks different, or maybe you got inspired by someone else, or I got inspired by someone else. And I like watching Ken Swift's documentary, just watching that and learning from what I saw on tape. It was like, that was a thing, like, oh damn, I need to move faster like him, but also like have my own twist to it, like not create something where it mimics exactly the same what he's doing, but like twist it to my own flavor, my own taste. So but going back to like battling is like, battle has definitely took its own course too. Back then it was like raw. It was almost to the point where you would fight, if it got so intense.
Battles were kind of like a fight, sort of way.
Yeah, I mean, an exchange,
because like the rounds were short. It was kind of like a F you, no F you, like
right.
And it was just really short rounds going back and forth, and you would hit 10 rounds easy in a battle. Like every battle was like 10 rounds. You know what I mean? At least at most jams they wouldn't do 10 rounds, but like it would be not surprising that there was like a 5-round prelim kind of battle. But then you're just battling. You're just battling in a circle somewhere. You're gonna go 10 rounds for sure.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Nowadays it's like, oh, we battled. Yeah, we did 1 round.
And you're like huffing and
that's
puffing.
not a fucking battle. Like,
yeah.
I remember I was in a circle just like dancing and stuff, and like I don't know, I think it was in LA or something. I don't know.
Some herb called you out.
I didn't even know I got called out. I'm just dancing, and then like some dude jumps in and does something like, oh, that's cool. I come out and do another round, and I'm just listening to the song because I like the song.
Yeah.
And then dude comes back out. I was like, oh, this kid's kind of good or whatever.
Right.
And then he like, he like stops and then he shakes my hand like, good battle. Like, what? I battled you? I don't even know who the fuck you are. Like, if that was a battle, I think you're misinformed. Because like, first of all, it was like 2 rounds or maybe 3, and there was like people literally going out between us. Like, I don't even know who you are. I've never seen you in my life. I mean,
that's so funny.
Like, people are just misinformed about battle. Like, if you're actually battling, you need to like make eye contact, like literally talk to them and be like, you're getting called out, motherfucker.
So you know what I mean? So you got like a passive aggressive call out basically.
Yeah. and also that's not the first time that's happened. That's just the most obvious one, but it's like happened a couple times where it's just like you're just dancing and then someone's like, oh yeah, that was a battle. Like, no dude, that's not a battle. I don't know what fucking Disney Channel like breakdance documentary you were watching, but that's not a freaking battle.
Yeah, I remember like when we went to freestyle session and we did, I think it was freestyle session 10 or 11, and we battled gamblers that day, and I called out.
No, that
Born.
was Rivers.
No,
that was Rivers in the circle. And because I was battling
on stage. It was gamblers. On stage, on stage it was gamblers, but
we called out Rivers in the circle.
Yeah, in the cipher we called out Rivers, and I just remember the leader of Flex Flav, I'm not gonna mention his name, but told me that, oh, Born, he's been talking crap about you, and like I'm like
that guy don't even know English.
Yeah, and first off, he doesn't even know who I am.
Yeah,
like maybe he probably did, but he didn't care. Because Rivers back in Korea was like the shit. Yeah. So who cares? They don't care. They're like celebrities, right?
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah. So then I hear this person, oh, he's talking crap about me. So then we go call out Born, or I go call out Born, and then the whole Flex Slave moves across his big ass in the LA Palladium across the floor. Like, damn, this place is gigantic. Yeah. And we're like, oh, I go out and I just saw us Born, and I'm like, bro, you were talking crap. I heard you were talking crap about me. I'm like, oh man,
you played into the game,
bro. I played into the game, and that's the reason why we're not in that crew anymore. So,
yeah, I mean, if you're a b-boy out there and you think people give a fuck about you, and your name's
Man.
like not Dietrich's, let me
Shout
tell you,
outs
nobody
to-
gives a fuck about you.
Shout out
You're just
to the
another
Dominic
dude that
show.
rolls around on the floor. So enjoy
Yeah.
that. I mean, that's a good thing. You just gotta recognize, like,
Right.
you're not freaking Tom Hanks. You're not freaking, I don't know.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, you're not Keanu Reeves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People will step over you to go see
Pretty much.
them.
They're
So,
like,
you know what I
"Dude,
mean?
you're-
Like, you
you're
could be
mopping
hitting
the
the
floor?"
dopest flare combo or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, that's dope," because Keanu Reeves is over there. Now get the fuck out of the way.
Pretty much, you know, you clean the floor for me to walk through.
Yeah,
basically.
for real.
But
It sucks
yeah.
that breaking is like that, because I think there's we have a legit art form here, and it's really cool, and everyone involved, they're amazing people and stuff, and it's such a cool culture.
Right.
But the problem, I think, well, I don't know if it's a problem, but it's more like people that aren't deeply invested in that scene really don't care about it.
Right.
And maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know. I'm not really convinced either way at this moment. I just take it for what it is. Like, I'm not walking around going like, "Hey, I'm Keanu Reeves" or some shit. You know what I mean? I'm just a dude that rolls around on the floor for fun.
Right.
And maybe you're a high level elite status person that rolls on
Right.
the floor, but you're still rolling on the floor, dude. Like, there's a high chance that someone
Yeah.
freaking, took a crap on that same floor at some point in, the floor's history,
That's so funny. I just remember the nastiest floor we used to practice.
Washington
on
Center.
Washington Center. That floor was grimy as fuck, dude. Oh my god.
When it would rain outside,
Oh,
and, like, that
God.
whole room would just like steam up and shit when we were practicing.
Yeah.
And then you would see like layers of dirt like starting to come off.
So disgusting.
Dude, it was like nasty. That's
and
a
then
nasty
and then
place.
you have b-boys, like hot ass humid b-boys that would get the ground so wet to the point where if you did a move, like you could possibly slip on it.
I'm curious actually if there's any b-boys that have gotten like super sick from COVID. Because I have a theory that b-boys and b-girls
That's
are like
interesting, actually.
have really high immune systems because of
Yeah.
we just roll around on the floor for fun and spend long time, like hours and hours, like doing
Yeah.
this a day.
Right.
I can't imagine that doesn't have like an effect on your immune system in a positive way, right?
Right. I personally, I think it does, but I think it also comes down to like how strong your antibodies are, right? So to fight off like any viruses or any bacteria that could
Yeah.
potentially do harm, So
I mean, but you
think-
build those up from just being exposed to.
yeah, and
Viruses and
and that actually helps with, like, so if you're rolling on the floor and you're breathing all those dirty particles in, like, you're bound to have a stronger immune system, And as a b-boy, I would always look at some of these people that don't break or don't do anything like physically, any type of physical activity. Like, they get sick.
Yeah, they get
often,
sick.
like
Yeah.
very often. So you go to wonder, like, damn. So breaking did kind of save my life.
Breaking is a solve for COVID, yo. We just figured it out, and I am a doctor, and he is a doctor as
I'm
well,
a doctor,
so we know.
and I drank bleach too, by the way. So I drank bleach, and I don't bleach my floor, so it works. Kurt the Herd over here, he's definitely he prescribed me some bleach earlier, and this is actually bleach right here. So
Let me tell you, the
let me
bleach is the best bleach of all time.
It's the best bleach of all time.
It is the best. Oh, everybody,
Right.
you get the bleach.
Yeah, exactly. Don't actually drink it. We're not promoting
Yeah,
it,
no,
but
I'm just playing.
yeah,
If you drink it, hey, you're a dumb fuck. For reals.
yeah, exactly. Read the label before you do anything.
Yeah,
But-
read the label in general.
Right, exactly.
If you're out there in life not reading labels, you're gonna fuck up for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Sac has changed a lot too.
Yeah, that's
Like, it's growing in a good way, but also certain areas are just like, damn, it's bad. Homelessness is real. It's
in general,
crazy.
I think the homelessness has
Yeah.
blown up in the last
It's ridiculous.
5 or 6 years, 10 years. I mean,
Right. And honestly, I don't know if the politicians in this state
They don't give
know
a fuck.
what to do next. They like now that they have a law that's saying that you can't kick out homeless people out of their area or whatever, and that's just their choice of life or how they want to live. But they're making a mess, you know, and it's crazy. I just don't know what they're gonna do.
I mean, the thing that I look at, I try to take like a huge step back from it and go like, they keep trying to pass all these laws to like fix it, and it just gets worse. So obviously what they're doing is not working.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's as simple as it gets.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you don't need to do fucking political calculus to figure that out.
No, man.
I'm a dumb fuck, and I stood back and was like, yep, that's not working, because you got 10 times as many homeless people now.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, maybe they're coming here because you're not like kicking them out or whatever. And I think that there's a moral like discussion to be had about that.
Right.
But it's a hard thing to do, and obviously if you want to have less homeless people, like what you're doing right now is not helping.
Right. You're actually promoting it, you know.
Yeah. And that's just
to
a
get
dumb
worse.
fuck's like broad like view of it.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of these homeless people are actually coming from other states where it's like really cold.
They
because
could be,
because you can't live out, like let's say if you're in the Midwest, you'll die.
In Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly, where it's like -degree weather.
Was there a lot of homeless people in Minnesota actually?
There were, but they have homeless shelters that you can actually go to. But when you're stuck inside, you can't go outside. So what can you do being inside? Nothing, right? So they're pooped up inside this homeless shelter, and you see them on the streets even during winter, like when the ice dries up and all that, when it melts. They're out there, but they have facilities. They're not out there, freezing their tail off. But I think a lot of them come out here because they feel like California has the great sun, and,
I mean, you can live outside.
And you can live outside
all year round. Yeah.
Right. But why not Florida? Like, they got a lot of sun. Is it the hurricane? Like, what is it? Even Texas. I
mean, maybe they have them, and that's what Florida man is. You ever hear like the Florida man? Florida man like steals like alligator.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah.
All the news stories are like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
If all the homeless went there, you'd hear a lot more about the Florida man.
Yeah, pretty much. I haven't been out to Florida ever since Evolution, actually.
Oh, I've never been.
Last time
I want to go though. It seems like a cool area.
Yeah, like Disney World or somewhere. Orlando would be cleaner. You don't want to go to South Florida.
What's wrong with South Florida?
It's just like it's just very hood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just grimy. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're gonna do about it. I know that San Francisco, I was building this this homeless shelter facility in San Francisco, and it was funded by the city, and they would actually have these homeless people shoot up. Like they have.
Oh yeah.
They have
had like the facilities to like do it safely. Yeah. No,
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's trying to address a real problem that is going on with like the homeless community, or it's like creating a lot of the homeless community, which is like drug abuse.
Right.
And I think what they're thinking is that we do these safe like injection places, and now it's gonna somehow get them off the drugs. I don't know if that's been thought of very well, because it doesn't seem to me like giving like free drugs and free shoot up and like doing it safely is gonna get you off drugs. It's probably just, I mean, maybe what they're doing is giving you like watered down, whatever you're taking.
Interesting.
I mean, I guess it's safer, but if drug abuse is just effing your life up, I don't see how doing more drugs is gonna like help you become not homeless, especially if you're really trying to, like, I mean, you're homeless because you don't have a home, you don't have money to pay for a home, you don't have like a job, most likely, right? And so how would you want to, your ultimate goal would probably be to get a job and then make enough money to now move out of the homeless shelter and buy a house or whatever you need to do for
Right,
that, right?
right.
So you need to do stuff that's in line with those goals. So number one, I would think, would be get off the drugs, right?
Yeah, and I think that they don't have a solution for it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe the safe injection thing is maybe like step one of, like, say, I don't know, you know, of a rehab program is like,
Right.
okay, in your first week, we know we can't like wean you off the drugs right now.
Right.
So you get the safe injection thing for the week or whatever, and we're weaning you off of it slowly.
Right.
And now the next week you're completely off, and now they're doing rehab services. I think that's probably a better way to do it. But
Right.
I mean, I'm not a fucking doctor, even though I said I was earlier.
He's a fucking doctor. He's prescribing me some bleach.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. In my opinion, you got politicians making decisions that probably should be made by somebody else, a doctor or whoever, or somebody who understands like drug abuse a little bit better than just a politician.
Yeah, I think the community definitely has to be involved with a bunch of doctors, and also like state legislatures, or even, you know, local mayors and all that, to come up with a solution to try to combat this. It's almost starting to turn into like how do I say this, like The Walking Dead in a sense, you know, like what if these people are so strung out and the drugs get harder and harder, and all of a sudden they become walking zombies? Like, what then? You know, arm yourself to where you're not getting attacked, or, you know, just letting this prolong to a point where we are becoming more of a garbage ourselves. Like, so like a larger footprint of human beings, basically, to walk this earth and destroy it, you know, make it worse, leaving trash everywhere, pooping out in public, or peeing, or whatever the case might be, you know. And that's not making our habitat more sustainable. And California being California, we're supposed to be like moving towards like green energy, and, you know, all these new development that's gonna be like sustainable. Well, if you come to California, most people, they come here and they go, damn, California is trash.
There's a lot. I mean,
so
I would say most of the cities are very
for sure.
trashed.
Yeah.
Because you go in there and you're like, dude, what happened to this? I mean, like,
Right.
when I used to visit San Francisco when I was a kid, I would go like, oh, this is a really cool city. It's all
Right.
nice. And you go you go there now, and I'm like, fuck this place. Like,
I don't
I'm
want
out
to be
of
here.
Because it's
You
just
know?
it's like, for real, it's like somebody just
Yeah.
threw garbage everywhere, and
That's what
like,
I'm saying, man.
and I don't know how to solve it. I mean, again, taking a step back as a dumbass, looking at it, whatever you're doing now is not working.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? And
Right.
so, I mean, not to get political about it, but one of the things I've heard actually is that because California is a Democratic supermajority, meaning that Democrats kind of rule every part of the state government. They don't have incentive to fight for like their roles, because they just are basically given them, you know. Whereas in states where they're like closer, Democrat versus a Republican,
Right.
people are fighting for their seat in office, right? And because of that competition, they actually have to listen to their people, right?
Right,
Whereas
right.
here, you're granted your spot in a way, so they're like, we don't need to listen to the people anymore. Really,
Right.
we can kind of do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
And you definitely see that,
Right.
and not just in California, but in other states too. But you know, in my opinion, I think competition is a good thing, especially in politics. So when you have like one party just controlling it,
Right.
You know, the whole way through, I think you can definitely create problems, because there's not an incentive to
Right.
to get votes now, because
Right.
you're just assuming you're going to get votes. I mean, look at like this last presidential election. Like,
Right.
no one even cares about what California has to say, because they always are going to vote for
Blue.
for the Democrat
Right.
party. So, you know, I mean, if you're a Democrat, I guess that's a good thing. But if
Right.
you're not, it's kind of like, you know, I don't know
Right.
what's. You basically your vote in California, if you're not a Democrat, kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah. So at that point, you wouldn't even want to vote, basically. And the craziest part is that there are a lot of conservative people that actually live in California.
If you look at a map, actually, it's
the majority.
like Bay Area is blue, Sacramento is blue,
Right.
LA is blue, and
Everything
else is red,
red.
because all of that is
Just farmland.
It's
or-
farmland
yeah.
and like country, rural kind of
Right.
areas, and
Right.
actually, I think Chico is blue as well, but
Yeah.
like that area, like usually where there's a school,
Right.
there's a higher density of younger people
Right.
that tend to vote on the Democrat side.
Yeah. I mean, the Democratic Party used to work, but I think now it's gotten to the point where it's almost like, all right, if you're poor, free money. You know, we'll take care of you. We'll just have everyone else that's working really hard pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree and I disagree, because, you know, going back to like how I, breaking in my adolescent years. So my family came as immigrants escaping the Vietnam War or whatever, right? So we came here and we were on welfare. Okay. That system worked for us because we were first generations, and we needed that welfare to be taken care of. Get out of
poverty,
the hood.
And
You know, and
that's
poverty.
what it's for.
Right.
I mean, so in my opinion, I think welfare is a good thing. It's when you have people that take advantage of it.
Exactly.
They align their life so that they're always on welfare, and so then they don't have to work.
Right.
And that's the problem. For me, I think if I ever even needed to go on welfare, I'd probably fight my hardest not to do it, because it's like, I don't want to. I just really have something against doing that. Like I feel like if I'm doing that, I hit the rock bottom that I need. And if I was on it, I'd be like, I can only stay here for a few months. Like I got to get out. You know? Same thing with like unemployment. I've never been on unemployment, luckily. But I think it's because I've always aligned my life in a way that wouldn't make me do that. Like I'd have multiple jobs or whatever, or like I had a savings account or something that was like at least going to help me out, and I was only maybe unemployed for like a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just lucky too, but I know that if I was on unemployment, I'd be like, dude, I gotta get off of this, because I know it doesn't feel good when I'm like mooching off of somebody. You know what I mean? And that's like, once I became an adult, I like moved out of my parents' house. Like I don't want to mooch on my parents. I don't want to mooch on anybody really. Like so.
And that's a good habit to have, especially when you're trying to create something, like for instance, like a business or like a channel, and you're trying to create something like basically like almost like your own domain, like you're building your empire in this little bubble of yours, so then you don't have to rely on other people, you know. So using the system to your advantage, or following the guidelines of the system, so then you can get to a place where you don't want to feel like you have to be at the lower level of, government support. Because now when you're on government support, now you feel like someone owes you something. You're always going to feel like you're privileged. I just remember working at a pharmacy, and people that were on welfare, they would come in and they would complain all the time about their prescriptions. And they're like wondering, why is this not covered? And they're like, oh, because it was like something very small, because you didn't renew your card, and to be on welfare or on some type of government assistance, you still got to do paperwork and keep up with it. It's not going to just like, oh, it's going to renew itself, so having that feeling of like not relying on the government or other people, I think it makes you achieve a higher level of yourself,
Yeah, for sure. If you're relying more on yourself, I think it's just a good virtue to have. I mean, I definitely think government is a drug in that sense, because like the more government you end up eating, the more you like have to have, right? Because you slowly become more and more hooked on the thing because you can't live your life without it.
Right.
Where I can conceive of a place where there is no government and it runs fine. I mean, actually, you hear about these like what is it called? The Amish people.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's a socialist community that doesn't live on a government. I mean, they're governed by the United States, but they essentially don't really I mean, they just pay taxes. They set up some stuff to so people can buy their products and they can afford their taxes. Everything else, they're just sharing among themselves. And I think that's like a spot where you see like socialism working because everybody there is working their ass off to make it happen.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get motherfuckers in there that are like, I don't want to work.
Right.
I want you to work and give me that.
Right.
That's when they're like, well, you got to get out, dude.
Right. Capitalism.
You know what I mean? I mean, like, I don't know how those things.
But
I think
it
I
works.
think capitalism is good, but I think like, you know, I think you have capitalism and socialism on two different sides of the coin, right? Mm-hmm. And I think they both work in different areas, but you go to the extremes and you get into big problems. Like for capitalism, I think it's good because it creates a lot of competition between people, which drives up innovation, and it's very helpful for stuff, especially if you are dirt ass poor, but you have a lot of things to achieve in your life, and you put your mind to it. Capitalism is gonna make you
skyrocket.
Skyrocket. Yeah, I mean, look at Jeff Bezos. You see the pictures of that guy back when he first started Amazon, and he's just
selling
this
books.
Like nerdy dude,
crazy.
selling books and stuff.
That's
and
crazy.
now he's like fucking jacked dude, like hella money, just like
chilling.
Yeah, just chilling, like for real, looking like Lex Luthor or whatever.
Yeah,
like that's a story of just a regular ass person like me or you who just soared to the top. Yeah, because he was extremely determined. I mean, I'm sure there's a fair amount of luck that went along with that. I mean, and definitely a good idea with what he did with Amazon. But like, you know, and capitalism let him achieve that, right? Right. Now, when you get to the point where you're up there and capitalism is now just driving you to keep doing stuff, so that now you're like using the lower parts of your company to make you even more rich. It's just feeding into your greed. So I think when you get to that other side of the spectrum, capitalism gets kind of bad because it makes greedy people. I agree. Like it's good. I guess it makes them thrive. The greedy people thrive in that. So I think if you had capitalism without greed, dude, it's a great system for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
And now socialism on the other side, I think if you have socialism and hard work, it works well because if everybody's working hard and equally, it's going to be a great system. Like when you look at the Amish, right? They all work their asses off. They all have their own duties and stuff, and they have this small community that works very well to get together. And you know, as far as I can tell, like they're tightly knit, and they live their lives separate from all of us. I mean, that's kind of the ideal socialist community. But again, like you start getting like lazy people in there, oh man, and they just leech off the system. It gets really bad. And so I mean, you got socialism and laziness in the same world. It turns into chaos. So in my opinion, you know, we live somewhere in the middle where laziness and greed exists. And you want to have pieces of socialism and capitalism in the same system. Like you got to dance delicately around it. I think in general, I would probably stray more towards the capitalist side, in my opinion, because it allows for more freedom. But I do think that there's some good socialist ideas out there that, you know, warrant some thought, you know?
Yeah, it's I think it's a very touchy subject with like, I guess it all depends on what side of the coin you're on, you know, and not all of it is bad, you know, and not all of it is good. So I think you just have to take it with a grain of salt and think that like whatever works for you, you know, like anybody can be the president, but how are you able to adjust to the next presidency. You know, if you look at a lot of these CEOs, they look at what the next president is going to write into, you know, into law, or if they even do, or like what their policies are, you know. So I think that whatever happens in the politics side of things, we just have to be up to date and always learning. And I think that's another reason why our system is so messed up, because in Europe and in Japan, they actually, school is very, very strict. You know, they learning things is like, that was second nature, right? And even if they're not rich, like, learning is a part of their life, you know. And I think that's why a lot of their society is like more peaceful in a sense, and there's not as much chaos, and there's actually some type of an agreement, you know, from the political side of things, and it's very clean, right? So if you go to Japan, if you go to like Sweden or somewhere, it's very clean.
I think it's because they have very high restrictions on being dirty. You know, like, you have less freedom in those countries. You know what I mean? Right. And in America, everybody is all about freedom. You know what I mean? Breaking, for instance, is like, I think it's a child of that kind of thing. Like, everybody in America was like, we want to do our own thing. Breaking, we don't want to dance like them. We want to dance like the way we want to dance. And so we created something, you know, out of that pure freedom. So it's a very fundamental, like, American thing, I think. And so, but anyways, like, in America, I don't think you can do what they do in like Europe or Japan, because essentially you say, okay, well, you're going to give up a bunch of freedoms in order to do this, and you got a lot of people that are not willing to do that. I mean, in general, I usually say I'd rather like let people do what the fuck they want than like restrict them, as long as they're not like committing crimes and doing stuff. Like, I don't really give a fuck. Like, I mean, even like with drugs and stuff, like, I don't really care if drugs were legal. Like, if you want to do drugs, go for it. Like, I don't care. Like, as long as you're not going out like selling it to kids and shit. You know what I mean? Or like doing some shady shit with the business side of it. Like, if you're just at home shooting up drugs or whatever, like, I mean,
we actually talked about this.
No, yeah, we did
at lunch, dinner, over dinner.
Yeah. I mean,
now that I think about it, interesting.
And that's because I would say, like, as soon as we go, oh yeah, you're not allowed to do something that's not harming anybody other than yourself, and we're restricting it, that's like literally taking a freedom away from somebody. Whereas, like, you know, we don't do that to smoking. We don't do that to drinking. We don't do that to a lot of things. So I'm like, you know, maybe those drugs are a little bit more dangerous or whatever, but still, I'm kind of like, what do I care? As long as you're not harming other people, I don't really care. So, I mean, in a sense, that's a kind of libertarian point of view, I think, where you say, okay, do what you want. Government shouldn't be involved with it, you know. I think libertarians kind of go even further. They go like, there shouldn't really even be taxes. There shouldn't be really anything, because the government is just there to like not impede on freedoms, or not let other people impede on your freedoms. But
I mean, even if you weren't a libertarian, if you're a capitalist, you would find some way or another to try to get out of tax anyway. So, but
I freaking hate.
I mean,
what?
Who doesn't? You know what I mean? Like, you work so hard, and you're like, you look at your check, you're like, oh, I'm getting all this money per hour, and then you look at your check, you're like, dude, I'm fooling myself, because, damn, they just took all that chunk out of my check.
I mean, I understand what taxes are for, and
it's good for schools.
It's good. Yeah, it's good to keep like the fundamental parts of society like moving, like police and schools and fire department and stuff like that. And I'm all about that. And even military too. I definitely think we go way hardcore with our military in America. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of good arguments to keep the military big, because people are scared that
someone might attack.
As soon as you're not the big dog in the world, someone else is going to be the big dog, and now you're answering to them.
Yeah, basically.
And so I think that's a decent argument, but also I go like, does it need to be that big? I mean, we put a crap ton of money into it, and like I hate seeing wars that are funded by tax money. Like, I'm fine if you're putting money into military to make, you know, our military tech good and you know, have very trained soldiers and whatever.
Right.
I think that's a good thing, but just funding a shit ton of wars out in other countries, I'm just like, I don't even know why we're even like, we're still in the Middle East right now. Like, I don't even know why the fuck we're there.
Yeah, that war has been going on, and it seems like it never ends.
Didn't y'all kill Bin Laden already?
Osama
like, the
Bin
dude's
Laden.
gone. So I'm like, isn't that over with?
Saddam Hussein, like.
I don't even. I never even understood why he was a bad guy. I mean, I'm just a dumb fuck, so I don't know.
It was just a purpose for them to go in. Basically,
I mean, what I was hearing is that he had like shit tons of nukes or something, and that we got to, because he's a crazy person. We got to. Yeah, but I don't think they ever found it. So, I don't know. In my opinion, there's some big questions about that, and. You know, again, taking a dumb fuck step back from it, I'm like, dude, we've put hella money into this shit.
Oh, yeah.
Can't we take some of that money and try to, like, fix some of this homeless problem or, like, some of this other shit? Like, that, I mean, that's just a dumb fuck's, like, perspective, but I feel like you could probably take, like, 15, 25% of, like, what you're putting out there and, like, probably fix a lot of shit at home. You know what I mean?
And going back to battling, actually, going off that topic, is that battling is very similar in a sense that, you know, you're not going out to actually, you know, point a gun at someone and shoot them and pull the trigger or like do any type of crazy things. But, you know, burns are very similar. Burns, you can go up to the person and burn them and like say, oh, I got a gun, I'm shooting you or whatever. After I shoot you, I can commit suicide and kill myself and then go into your move. It's like storytelling, you know? So you're telling a story of yourself. Like I think Poe One actually mentioned that he's like telling a story, or remind actually says that.
Yeah, they all kind of tell stories with their hands. Yeah.
So it is almost like you're telling your story, but it's also a battle. You know, you want to be coming off aggressive. Sometimes you don't even have to. Sometimes playing the defensive mode of battling it actually works, because someone who's really overly aggressive and he's coming at you, right? And you're just like, bro, I don't want to fight or whatever, you know? And then little did that aggressive person know, I'm a 2nd degree black belt, but I'm just playing the card of trying to avoid the situation. So breaking is kind of like the same thing. It's like you have all this arsenal, right? This arsenal, and then this guy's coming out like guns blazing. He's throwing all these power moves and everything, but then you're in the background. You just come out like a rocks, right? And you just demolish this dude because you're running rounds around him, you know? So in the battlefield, real battlefield, and in breaking battlefield, it's very similar. I don't think that there's like a big difference in that essence, because it's how you strategize your battle. You know, you can come out very strong in the beginning, but your second round might be whack. I'll come out not as strong, but it'll be consistent all the way through. Versus you're gonna gas out in 2 rounds, and that's exactly what Hong Ten did to that one guy he just battled recently. I forget his name.
Oh, that dude that looks like the guy at the freaking dim sum place.
Yeah, he had a do-rag and everything. He kind of looks like
a do-rag. I didn't even watch the battle, honestly. I was like,
but yeah, he threw like very short rounds, right? And he came hella aggressive, and Hong Ten's like, okay, you want to come aggressive? I'm just gonna do me, but I'm gonna do it like 10 times better.
It was the
you know,
it was the dude that called him out, right? On like Instagram or whatever. Yeah. And then I never heard of him. I seen him break a little bit, and he looked like he was pretty good, but I didn't watch the battle.
His rounds were very short, you know.
Okay. I mean, I heard they battled like a long time though. So
dude, this dude Hong Ten, I think went like 10 rounds or something, and each round was fire. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, he's the guy who can do that. That guy's got so many rounds.
Right. And each round was like different. Each round.
Yeah. You know, Hong Ten he's the B-boy who's like, I don't know, I guess he'd be in like a top 10 list, I think, probably, right? Would you put him in a top 10 list?
Oh,
who would your top 10 list be, I guess?
I would say Hong Ten would be like my top 5 just because of that battle. Because when I was coming up, when I first saw Hong Ten, I didn't like his round. I didn't like the way he broke actually, because he was like very sloppy, and then he would do a move and then he would fall out of it, and then after that he would cover it up with like a flow or something. But it wasn't until he went to the military where his breaking actually got really good. It got cleaner. He was more disciplined, you know, in his rounds. He was like more conservative, and when he had his moves like thrown out, it was like set up to the point where it was you didn't know when it was going to come out. You just knew that it came out, and it was like, damn, you know, and it was way cleaner.
Was that when he came? It was like the second time he won BC1. Was it that one? Because I remember there was like
it was the second time he won BC1. Yeah,
he was like,
that's when he was like,
it looked like he was kind of at the end of his thing, and then he disappeared for like a couple years or something, and then I'm guessing that's probably military.
Yeah,
and he came back to BC1,
right? And
he was just going off, and I was like,
crazy,
dude. He fucking made everybody look like a joke,
pretty much.
And I was like, god damn, this guy is crazy.
He's a machine.
I mean, and he was already amazing before then,
right? So,
I mean, I would say that he's probably in my top 10,
right?
Just purely because he's had such a huge influence on like the battling aspect of breaking. Like, he's just, I mean, he's bred for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, his mentality. I just like the way how calm he is too when he gets out there.
Yeah, he
just
his natural
stares you down, you know.
Yeah,
and you're like a zebra, and he's like a lion.
Yeah,
right.
And he doesn't care. He doesn't care what you just did
right.
either. It's like, oh yeah, you can do the dopest stuff, but
yeah,
dude, I'm Hong Ten. I'm gonna hit you with some fire.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you with some fire, and then I'm a yeah. And if you threw out a round, it was fire. Also, I'm gonna put out the fire, some water, and I'm gonna blaze it back up with my own.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely. And he's got long ass rounds. He's just got so many goddamn moves too.
Dude,
it's like,
it's crazy.
That was the thing with his second time with the BC1 win. I remember I was like, oh, he's already done with it. He's out of moves. And then he hit some crazy move. I think he like took his shirt off and then threaded in a backspin or something and hit some crazy freeze. And I was like, god damn, like this fool is still coming out with new shit. And I was like,
it's
dude,
crazy.
Like this is kind of insane.
Right.
But yeah, I would say he's in my top 10 for sure. I don't know. Who'd be your number one?
Number one, man, it's hard to say right now.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if I could say a number one either. I'd probably have to say a top 3, probably, or top 4 or 5.
Like the Koreans definitely are like killing it, you know, like Hong Ten, like Wing, was it Jinjo crew was like,
I like Jinjo crew.
They're really killing it, and then all of a sudden they just kind of like, a lot of them just fell off because maybe the family or whatever, you know.
They might have also gone to the military too.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I mean that's a crew that really changed the game in terms of crew battles and stuff.
Like FE is hella tight. When FE was in his prime.
Okay, I think I know who. Is that that's sick. The air chair dude or whatever?
FE. He kind of air chairs, but then he does a lot of moves. Like he does stacking, like with his legs crossed. Like yeah. And he's dope, bro. He like the way he moves is like very controlled. Mm-hmm. But FE was dope. I would say right now, man, it's so hard to decide.
I don't know a lot of the newer B-boys
because the younger kids are getting really dope too. You know?
Yeah. What's that little King Malish or something?
See, I don't.
That little kid, he's like a Russian kid. He's
that
like
does the crazy 90s,
11 or 12. Yeah, he does like 50 90s or something. Yeah. That kid is crazy. Like he's just breaking a new record every day on Instagram. I'm like, god damn, this little kid is crazy.
Yeah,
like
he's dope.
Like yeah, he's just using cheats or something. Like he found the cheat codes.
Yeah, exactly. He beat Super Nintendo like hella times.
Yeah, he used all the cheat codes and he beat it at 11. Like you remember when Tony Hawk did a 900?
Yeah.
And then like a couple years ago, like a little kid about the age of King Malish did like a 1080.
Damn.
I think he did a 1080 switch. So he was like he came up switch footed and went 1080.
Shit. That's crazy.
So it's like it just shits on like
all these old guys.
So I'm like
that broke the record or did something crazy back then.
Yeah, so but yeah, I just look at this kid Malish, and I'm like, dude, he already beat everything.
There's.
I mean, it looks like he can only really do power moves right now, but
right.
I'm just like, you already won the freaking power move game at 11 or 12 or whatever. Right. Now you got the rest of your freaking like most b-boys didn't even start breaking at 11. You know what I mean? So now you got all the rest of the time to learn everything else. Like, dude, you're gonna be crazy good.
Yeah, we'll see when he gets older because you know
might
your
get
body.
Sick of it.
Yeah, your body changes.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get that kid prop anymore. So.
He gets adult
he's killing
props,
it right
dude.
now. He's getting adult props, but it really comes down to when you get older and like you're going against like bigger guys.
Dude, this kid did hella head spins, lotus head spins, solving a Rubik's cube, and he's just like,
what the hell?
Yeah,
oh shit, that's crazy.
He's just like kind of a goofy kid. And he shows like the camera like the Rubik's cube, and then he just puts on a head spin beanie and just starts going, and then he hits lotus and he's just doing it, and then he's just drilling it or whatever, and then like after 10 seconds or something, he stands up and he's like, it's solved.
Damn.
And I was like, fuck.
That kid is out of this world.
Like, just imagine,
that's nuts, bro.
Imagine if someone did that to you in a battle. Whatever age they are. Like, I'd be like, fuck, dude, that was kind of fucking crazy.
I already lost that round.
Yeah, exactly. I lost that round.
I was like, hey, Kurt, go.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, who wants to go? Not me, dude.
Nah, I'm good.
Send him with someone else.
Yeah, send B-Girl Tara out.
Where's that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a little funny.
No, like little kids and shit nowadays are good as hell. But, I mean, it remains to be seen like what the longevity of them will be. I imagine they probably got good teachers. Good. I imagine their parents are like b-boys and b-girls at one point, and they like got them into it really young, and then they probably even coaching them and stuff. So.
Yeah, they probably have some gymnastics background too. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, it looks like they probably do.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't as privileged as those kids, but
hell no.
Like
Washington Center, like that the privilege we got at Washington Center was like a dirty ass floor to like learn how to windmill. And like
the privilege was building our immune system.
Yeah, not get tetanus or whatever, not get like
Yeah. That's great. A staph infection.
Yeah, staph infection on that. I mean, dude, I remember Vince had a staph infection. It's probably from Washington Center.
Oh,
I remember he hit his like elbow. I think it was his elbow. Like got swollen.
That's crazy.
He went to the doctor and they were like, "Yo, if you would have come here like tomorrow or the next day or whatever, we probably would have had to amputate your arm."
What the hell?
It was like a crazy infection and shit. It was like really nasty.
Because he had a cut and
I think it was a cut and it it was on some dirty ass floor. Yeah, it's probably Washington Center. So
it probably was. I think was it Vince or someone else that got the staph infection?
I know Vince had one.
Okay, maybe
I think Rodney. I think Freak Rock had one too.
Yeah, maybe Will or Rodney. Yeah, one of those guys.
I remember Rodney had that bursitis in his knee that was hella big.
Matt too. Matt had one in his elbow. I was like, bro, what is that? He's like, bro, I busted my elbow from elbow air flares.
It's just nasty.
It looked like a golf ball. I was like, damn, dude, go get that drained out or something.
I've had it a few times, but it never was as big as those guys.
Yeah,
like, it was just like a little bit, but like, I remember Rodney's was like, it was like,
I remember that too.
It was like a softball.
Yeah, basically. Basically you don't even need knee pads because that's.
Yeah, exactly. I remember we touched it and it would jiggle.
It's disgusting, bro.
Yeah, that was nasty.
Yeah. I never had anything crazy like that on my elbow. Actually, I just remember hitting it and chipping it like, a little piece of a cartilage or whatever.
Yeah, it's like something that gets chipped. Yeah, that happened to me too, and that's when I got it.
Right,
but it wasn't really big.
Yeah,
and it was gone after probably like a week.
Maybe we weren't doing enough elbow air flares or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's why I stuck with the foundation, man. Longevity.
Elbow air flares. You got to have some rough elbows for that.
Yeah. But eventually, like, I just remember when I started doing a lot of power, like my wrist would hurt, just like a ballerina's, like their foot would really hurt. They would break all their ligaments to go into place. And eventually, it just locks into place. And then you build all these little small calluses around, calcium around your ligaments. And it eventually just hardens up and then it becomes your
and you can
part
stand
of your
on
bone.
your toes.
Yeah, on your tippy toes. And that would be the case for our wrist, actually. Where, like, it doesn't hurt anymore, you know. But when I first started doing flares, I just remember my wrist would hurt like really bad.
Fuck.
You know, did I ever happen to you at all?
Oh yeah, I mean like power moves always like would F me up, like flares.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I remember one time I was practicing one-handed halos, and I hit. It was with Low, and Low obviously can do like a crap ton of them, like 10 of them, and so he was just doing them, and I was like, fuck it, I got this, and I hit like 5 of them, and I was like, no, I can do one more, and I went for like a 6th one, and I was just too low, and I caught it like hella weird, and it fucked my, it like,
I know what you're talking about.
Screwed up my wrist, and it's never been the same after that.
Yeah.
And like after that, every time I do too many halos, it starts hurting, and so I have to stop. And when I do flares or like air flares or 90s or anything, like if I put too much pressure on it, it starts hurting again. So it like really restricted like the combos I can do. So that kind of made me stray a little bit away from power moves since then. Right. And then I had a lot of shoulder injuries too. Because this one, I threw it out practicing, you know what like Arabian twists are? Yeah. So like when you come up and you turn like that, I just threw it out way hard, and it like kind of, I forget if it was if it tore my I think there was like a tear in the
your
the rotator cuff or whatever.
Damn.
Yeah, so it like effed up my rotator cuff.
Wow.
And it just never really healed perfectly.
Right.
And I've seen like a doctor a couple times and some other like physical therapists, and they're like, yeah, you lost a lot of range. And, you know, so like I don't really have a lot of range in this in my shoulder on my right side, and then on my left side, I was practicing this move with Errol and a couple other people where it was a routine where, I don't know if you ever seen this, but you remember the old routine we would do where someone's on the ground. It was the super salt one.
Oh, the super salt, yeah.
So like, someone would come running, and then you dive over. Right. So when we were doing Warriors games, we did this a version of it that was even crazier. Where Quang is down on the ground doing his like push-up shit. Yeah. Doing his planche push-ups, and then Bao comes running. He's the guy that goes right over him. And then I go over Bao, and then they throw. Errol over. Oh my! So when we were training that, we like messed up once, and Errol I guess didn't get high enough, and he hit me. He landed on me, and so I went down, and, and I hit Bao. So he went down and hit. I think it was just like a chain reaction of people hitting each other. Yeah. But I like flew and just like landed straight on my shoulder. Holy and it hell effed up my shoulder, and I went to the doctor. They were saying that it's kind of like it's a similar injury that like linebackers get because they like bang their shoulders into each other. And you know, that was like a long time ago, and it never really fully healed, so I lost a lot of motion here in my left side, so like here on my right side, like it's hard to go back when my arm is out straight like this. And then here it's hard to be like this, which is it makes it so it's hard to air flare because like here I lost so much flexibility, and it hurts in certain positions that it makes it hard to do a good throw. And then here the exact position you need to catch is like where it hurts. So it like really
that's
sucks.
crazy. I got a lot of injuries on myself too, man. Just over the years of like landing on the left shoulder. It just deteriorates your shoulder, and I think breaking, like our shoulders are shot. You know, when you get to a certain point in your career where you're just like all that abuse of landing. You know, like if you think about it, if you're like doing air flares, right, and going into windmill or any type of corn drop or something like that, where it's hard on impact. Well, if you're 160 pounds and you're up here, that's a lot of weight coming down. You know. That's over 160 pounds. So that's almost like 200, 240 pounds of just impact.
That's why.
So that's like a car accident in a sense.
That's why these like 50-pound little kids can like
go exactly.
Crazy.
But I think you know, in breaking, a lot of b-boys just tend to like, if they hurt themselves, they just fight through it. Like they don't really take care of themselves. Like trying to ice up. Do preventative maintenance on your body, because your body is not like indestructible, right? Because we have to kind of like pamper it. If you do all that physical activity, we need to ice it. We need to see a doctor. We need to work out those muscle groups, like buy a TheraBand or, massage ball or even a roller, roll out your back muscles. And I think, like health is very important along with the creative aspect of breaking and having fun with it. So at the end of the day, we are like athletes. We may not think like we're not, but we are,
I mean, we at least like treat ourselves like athletes. Yeah. We get banged up like athletes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so,
without the freaking monetary,
payout.
Financial payout.
Yeah, exactly. So and when we pay for our own hospital visits and we pay for our own like massage therapist, like all that adds up, bro. I think I spent over maybe $5,000 to $10,000 in just massage therapy.
Yeah,
if not,
I probably
more.
have too.
So and we don't get that back.
No, you don't get it back.
But one thing we need to do is like just take care of ourselves.
I mean, it's important to take care of your health. I think if your life is not aligned with like being healthy, I think you really are screwing up your priorities. You know what I mean? Because like your health is literally the only thing you really have. Right. Like, or it's at least the root of what you have, right? Because if your health is bad, what else do you have?
Right.
Like you're just gonna have like a kind of a shitty life. You know what I mean? Like you'll be in and out of the hospital, getting sick. Aching bones or whatever. Like it's just not. It won't be fun. So
it won't be the business.
Oh, if you're making too many sacrifices,
take care of yourself. For sure. Yeah.
So do you think that has changed the way you break now? Like
with
like because
injuries?
Well, like with injuries and like definitely like chronic type of injuries where it's probably not going to get better, and as you get older, most likely it's going to get worse. Obviously, you still want to dance. Like, how do you think that's affect your creativity or your dance?
I think that like with injuries, it actually helped me with like moving a certain way that actually prevents injuries. My dance has matured a lot more to the point where I don't need to rely on like doing crazy moves. I can use the music. And create along the way. So in a sense, my my movements have become more mature. But also young at heart because I'm still using character. To incorporate that with my dance. I think that it hindered certain aspects of the dance, like big blow up moves or like power moves. Definitely power moves. I can't air flare like crazy.
Yeah,
anymore,
a lot of power moves are hard for me nowadays.
Yeah,
like
and
just a flare.
And you really don't necessarily need it.
Yeah,
you're just adding more stress on your joints as we get older. Our bones start to deteriorate a little bit more. So we want to preserve that, but you can still move in a way where it actually doesn't hurt as much, or it actually helps those areas of mobility, right? Because if you're stagnant, especially if we're sitting in a car or sitting down for work or whatever it is, we're stagnant. Our body needs to move. Our joints are getting locked. Our muscles are not getting activated. So I think my dance has definitely matured more in the way I move as I got older, or like because of injuries or whatever. So
I think for me, one of the things that has changed me is like I have to be more precise, because if I'm putting my foot or my leg or my hand in a place that's not precise, it is probably going to hurt me somehow. And so I have to like think more about it. So one of the things I always focus on more now is like balance. Is every position I'm in,
right,
I'm precise with where I'm putting everything, and I know that I'm balanced so that I'm not gonna fall down and like injure myself.
Right.
And so I think it's made me more exact, which that has affected the way I dance now, I think.
Right.
And so like, because back in the day it wasn't so exact. It was kind of like, let's just see what happens.
Right.
And then you get an injury, and so it would have been nice to go to my young self and be like, yo, you're going to fuck yourself up. You should be more precise.
Right. And I think that like when we're younger, we're more loose, right? So
you don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you just kind of throw your body like, man, this won't hurt. I bang my knee on the ground like with no knee pads, and then later on you're like, I need the knee pads. But one thing I noticed is that if you don't do a move full out, you will hurt yourself.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you half-ass it, or you're just trying to say, okay, I'm gonna try it and see where it goes, versus I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna try and hit it. Yeah. There's a difference, because you're not really fully doing it. So then certain movements of your body is not actually committing to it.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to commit to those movements. Otherwise, it's like you're like, oh, 1 foot in, half foot out. You know.
Yeah.
So
you're half-assing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's either all or none.
Yeah.
And
ain't no such thing as halfway crooks.
Yeah, halfway. Yeah, exactly.
Halfway flares.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe like I don't want to say names.
Say it. No,
no, no.
I'll have to bleep it out.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, man, it's been a journey, dude. Like fucking just coming along. I've known you for hella long, and now you got your podcast, and yeah, it's fucking. Yep.
It's trying to grow the podcast.
Moving along.
Yeah. Got like, I don't know how many subscribers. Not that many.
But
hey,
it's all good. It's all about the work.
It's okay. I love every single one of you. All 2 of you.
+3 now. I'm going to go home and add them.
I'm my own biggest fan. Like, one of the subscribers is me. No, I'm just kidding.
That's hella funny.
Well, dude, we're hitting 2 hours now.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
it's
so
been
we
that
could
long
probably
already,
wrap this shit up. Well, so where can people find you if they want to talk to you?
You can follow me on my Instagram page. I keep forgetting what it is, actually. Let's see here. It's Instagram is going to be Bboy _Swellz on Instagram, and then yeah, I'm more on Instagram. I mean, Twitter, if you really care enough. I don't tweet.
Oh, you got a Twitter?
Yeah,
I made a Twitter for this show, and I don't even use Twitter.
Really?
I have it linked to my Instagram, so I just post everything on Instagram.
Oh yeah, and then it just yeah. It's a lot.
Twitter seems like a shit show, honestly. Like when I have gone on there, I just see like craziness and like just crazy people saying crazy stuff, and I'm like, I'm out.
You just gotta be careful who you follow. Like if you start to follow people, and then the algorithms start to populate.
Yeah, no.
And then you're just like, oh, I gotta dip.
It's like, I mean, it seems like all the news people are on there, and it's just all some crazy news shit. And
yeah, I try to bleep all those out.
Yeah,
like certain things, like okay, CBS is cool. I'll just kind of look at that stuff and read a little bit. I'm more into stocks, man. Honestly, politics right now is like
it's all a shit show.
In the past, you know, like. It definitely makes a big difference when someone gets into office, like where the future is going to be in the next 4 years or whatever. So then that way you can plan your investments accordingly. But other than that, man, I care less about politics. I just want to know that we get someone good in office that's going to be good enough to represent the people, you know, because this is America and we got to be united. So
I want to see a B-boy run for president.
Yeah, that'd be hella funny. Who would you recommend a B-boy to be running for president?
I don't know. None of them really. B-boys are bums.
Yeah,
we need a B-girl. we need a B-girl to run for president. They got the shit together.
Yeah, they do, man. Guys is like always fucking shit up. I swear to
God. Yeah, but I don't know. I can't think of anyone particularly. Someone who needs to be smart and yeah, I don't know. But I want to see someone who's like, I guess who just like you have more of a relationship with, like, because I feel like every person that runs for office, whether it's president or whatever, it's just some like old motherfucker that I don't care about. I'm like, you know what I mean? Exactly. Like you're out there playing golf, like I don't give a fuck about golf. Like you're out there talking about something else, like I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. So like. It feels weird to like vote for somebody like that, you know. Whereas like if freaking Rodney or Freak Rock came out and was like, I'm gonna run for president. Who's gonna vote for me? Like let's go. I know this guy. He's crazy. I mean,
he's gonna go He's gonna go and make the stock market crash. Let's do it.
I mean, it's not gonna. It can't be any crazier than what it's been now. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like the whole world is on fire, and I don't know if it's the president's fault or whose fault it is, but it's just like, I don't know.
China's fault, man.
To me, it looks like you got a whole conglomerate of like just old ass motherfuckers that just need to get the fuck out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so like, if you just got rid of them, there's a lot of young people that are in politics now, that actually seem to like have some interesting ideas, and they're more willing to like work with each other, like across parties. And like, why don't you get more of those people and get rid of these old pieces of shit? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know, that's just the politics game. Is who you know, what you know. It's who you know. And a lot of these guys, they just don't know how to give it up. Like, it's just...
Yeah, once they get the power, they're like, oh, yeah, I need more,
hard.
I need more, I need more. Yeah, I mean, that's why you need someone who just doesn't want power.
Right. Or they have a term to their power. Like, okay, if you're a Senate, you can only be a Senate for this X amount of years.
Yeah, I don't understand why there's not term limits. I always thought that there was before, but then I recently found out that there's not. And I'm
not
like,
for
what
a Senate.
The hell?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which actually, that's one good thing that Trump was talking about, was he was saying like there should be term limits, and he was like putting forth a bill to do it, and I think it got shut down. Cause I can't imagine anyone in Senate being like, yeah, definitely, we should like cut my term off. Like, you know what I mean? So that shit got shut down for sure. But I was
what if he put a term on his own age? Like, you cannot be above 65 to run for president.
Dude, there's people that are 80 that are in.
I know.
I mean, what's her name?
Ridiculous.
That old like what's that like crypt keeper looking lady? The Speaker of the House.
Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. Dude, she's freaking 80.
Is she really?
Yeah.
Wow,
how many 80-year-olds do you know that are not like tripping? Like,
yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, if I was 80, I mean, I don't even think I'll make it to 80. But if I did make it to 80, like, fuck that. I'm not gonna be.
Bro,
in
I am
office.
not speaking for no one's house.
I'm out. Yeah. Dude,
I'm like, bro, I can barely speak at home.
Exactly. So I didn't realize she was that old. I mean,
bro, that's crazy.
I guess she cleans up well, but I'm like, dude.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, someone pointed that out to me, like, she's that old. It's like, fuck, dude.
She reminds me of like a secret society, like super clean, and like if I speak, everyone hears and has to listen.
Oh,
like that's the persona that I get.
You know what I always,
because I'm the Speaker of the House. Like,
you know what you know what I kept thinking, like, it'd be hella crazy if like you find out that she's just a robot, and it's like Hillary Clinton is like controlling her or something.
Oh shit, that would be crazy.
That would be crazy. Yeah,
because she kind of looks like this robotic, like, straight face, like laser eyes, like. Damn, do your face have any facial expressions?
Yeah, seriously.
So it's hella funny.
Yeah, no, I mean, politics is crazy. I mean, we should definitely get out of it, before we turn into InfoWars. This has been InfoWars. Thank you guys for joining us.
Check it out.
So find him on Instagram, Bboy Swellz One, or
Bboy _Swellz. And that's for my Twitter and Instagram.
All right.
It's not very exciting, but if you want to waste your life checking it out, go ahead.
And if you want to waste your life even more, go to Noise of the Broke Boys on Instagram or Twitter or YouTube, or I don't know. There's probably some other ones too. You can waste a lot of time for sure.
Yeah. Hey, how does the sound of a Noise of the Broke Boy sound like? Does it sound like this?
Hey, you know what? So the music that the intro music and the outro music?
Yeah.
So I made the music myself, and I made it out of trash can sounds.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, what? That's crazy.
I downloaded a whole like bunch of sounds off of like YouTube and stuff, and just picked out like trash cans getting hit or like car crashes and stuff. So I took all these noises and I made a beat. I made a beat out of it. So
oh man,
that's a little Easter egg for people that actually give a fuck about the show. So
yeah, so if you want to check out his show, man. It's my boy Kurt.
Yep.
And we've known this guy for mad long.
Yep.
It's been fun.
Well, so thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry this show sucks and it was really long. Peace.